In 1815, Napoleon Bonaparte faced a decisive defeat at the Battle of Waterloo, changing the course of history forever. Battles that changed the world.
In 1942, during World War II, one of the most brutal battles in history began, the Battle of Stalingrad. The city of Stalingrad was a major industrial center of the Soviet Union and an important route along the Volga River. For Adolf Hitler, capturing the city would weaken the Soviet war effort and deliver a powerful symbolic victory against Joseph Stalin. In the summer of 1942, the German army launched a massive offensive toward the city. Bombers filled the sky, destroying buildings and turning Stalingrad into ruins. But despite the destruction, Soviet forces refused to surrender. What followed would become one of the deadliest and most intense battles in human history. And this was only the beginning. Crossed swords emoji. But why was the city of Stalingrad so important? During World War II, Adolf Hitler believed capturing the city would give Nazi Germany a major strategic advantage. Stalingrad controlled key transport routes along the Volga River, which were vital for Soviet supplies. If Germany captured the city, it could cut off important resources moving across the Soviet Union. But there was also a powerful symbolic reason. The city was named after Joseph Stalin. For Hitler, conquering Stalingrad would be a huge propaganda victory against the Soviet leader. However, the battle would soon become far more difficult than Germany expected. And the streets of Stalingrad would turn into a deadly battlefield. Crossed swords emoji. As German forces entered Stalingrad, the battle changed completely. Instead of open warfare, soldiers were forced to fight street by street, building by building. Snipers, machine guns, and hidden soldiers turned the ruined city into a deadly maze. Soviet troops, fighting for Soviet Union, refused to retreat. Under the leadership of Joseph Stalin, the order was clear: not one step back. Meanwhile, the army of Adolf Hitler believed victory was close. But the destroyed buildings of the city became the perfect defense for Soviet fighters. The battle turned into one of the most brutal urban conflicts in the history of World War II. And soon, the situation would begin to change. Crossed swords emoji. By late 1942, the battle in Stalingrad had turned into a nightmare for both sides. But the Soviet command was secretly preparing a massive counterattack. Under the leadership of Joseph Stalin, the Red Army launched a surprise offensive. The operation was called Operation Uranus. Instead of attacking the strongest German positions in the city, Soviet forces struck the weaker armies protecting the flanks. Within days, they surrounded hundreds of thousands of soldiers from Nazi Germany. The German army was now trapped inside Stalingrad. And what had once seemed like a German victory was about to become one of the greatest military disasters of World War II. After the launch of Operation Uranus, the situation for Nazi Germany became disastrous. More than 250,000 German and Axis soldiers were surrounded inside Stalingrad. The trapped forces were commanded by Friedrich Paulus. Many German generals advised Adolf Hitler to allow the army to break out of the encirclement. But Hitler refused. Instead, he ordered the troops to hold their position and fight to the last man. Winter soon arrived, bringing extreme cold, hunger, and exhaustion. Cut off from supplies and surrounded by the Red Army, the German army faced an impossible situation. And the end of the battle was now approaching. Crossed swords emoji. By early 1943, the German army trapped in Stalingrad was completely exhausted. Food was almost gone, ammunition was running out, and thousands of soldiers were freezing in the brutal winter. The commander of the German forces, Friedrich Paulus, realized the situation was hopeless. Even though Adolf Hitler expected his troops to fight to the very end, Paulus made a historic decision. On February 2, 1943, the remaining German forces surrendered to the Red Army. It was one of the largest military surrenders in modern history. The Battle of Stalingrad had finally ended. But its impact on World War II would change the course of the war forever. Crossed swords emoji. By early 1943, the German army trapped in Stalingrad was completely exhausted. Food was almost gone, ammunition was running out, and thousands of soldiers were freezing in the brutal winter. The commander of the German forces, Friedrich Paulus, realized the situation was hopeless. Even though Adolf Hitler expected his troops to fight to the very end, Paulus made a historic decision. On February 2, 1943, the remaining German forces surrendered to the Red Army. It was one of the largest military surrenders in modern history. The Battle of Stalingrad had finally ended. But its impact on World War II would change the course of the war forever. Crossed swords emoji. The end of the Battle of Stalingrad marked a major turning point in World War II. For the first time, the army of Nazi Germany suffered a massive and undeniable defeat on the Eastern Front. More than 2 million soldiers and civilians were affected during the battle. After this defeat, Adolf Hitler began losing control of the war in the East. Meanwhile, The Red Army gained momentum and started pushing German forces back across the Soviet Union. From that moment on, the balance of power began to shift. The victory at Stalingrad proved that Nazi Germany could be defeated. And it changed the course of the war, and world history, forever. Crossed swords emoji.